Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video is going to feature the brand new Tier 11 super battleship from the US Navy, USS Maine. Now, the USS Maine is going to enter the game initially on the 21st of March 2024 in the auction. The minimum offer is going to be 100 million credits. Now, this auction will start with minimum offers of 100 million credits with 900 ships available across all servers. Now this auction will run until midday on March 25th. So finally the US Navy gets a super battleship in the form of USS Maine. Maine comes with impressive main battery, a grand total of 16 406mm guns, so really quite impressive. Well armoured package, quite slow and sluggish in terms of high tier American battleships, but incredibly resilient, and also comes with the immediate threat elimination combat instructions. So let me start this review by simply putting up the build that I'm using here in the game. I am using the secondary battery mod in slot 3, and I am using steering gears mod 1 in slot 4, and the accuracy or artillery plotting room modification in slot 6. As for the captain, I am using my Halsey captain, preventive maintenance, grease the gears, and a full tank setup using adrenaline rush and basics of survivability. Pretty standard battleship build. Before getting into the meat and bones of the USS Maine, the heart of any good battleship lies in its armour and guns. So let's start with the armour layout. Quite decent armour protection. You see 32mm on bow and stern plating. It must be pointed out there are additional 4 end deck platings of 38mm in front of the front gun, and on the stern plating almost all of the stern is covered by an upper plate of 38mm, which is very nice. It makes this very, very resistant to high explosive penetration, in particular on the stern. The main deck is 38mm, the upper casemate is also 38. There is an outer plate of 32mm of torpedo protection. Just move on to the second slide to show the inner plating, the armor belt, an upper section of 432mm, and a submerged section of 356mm. Superstructure, of course, is just 19mm. The main battery gun turrets get a frontal plate of 500mm, quite strong, and top plate of 184, side plate of 241mm, and the rear plating on these turrets is quite good. It's 505mm. The well armored turrets, and in general pretty well armored setup. Move to the next slide and show the actual citadel. You can see it runs from the rear turret to just in front of the front turret. Slightly raised above the waterline, but ever so slightly. The front athwartship is very strong on this. Also, it's 457mm. The citadel protection at the front, quite decent. So this ties into the survivability, of course. Very, very strong in terms of hit points. 115,100 with this build, and quite a decent torpedo protection damage reduction of 51%. This is further reinforced by having 5 repair parties, which can repair up to 911 hit points per second for the duration of 30.8 seconds. Here's where I need to bring in the immediate threat elimination, or these combat instructions. Now you do get a boost. Now to activate this F button, you need to land shells on target, and each shell hit will give you 6% progression. Once activated, once you fill the activation bar and press F, this will give you a 25% boost to continuous AA damage. The fire damage and flooding damage will both be reduced by 65% during this activation time, which is 45 seconds for this combat instructions called immediate threat elimination. Primarily, I would be using this when heavily focused by multiple ships. This will greatly enhance the survivability, making Maine feel quite tanky. So moving to the main battery, Maine gets 16 of these 406mm guns housed in 4 quadruple mounted turrets. 2 4, to aft. Now with this build, the reload time is 35 seconds. With this captain and this build, they can rotate 180 degrees in 36 seconds. They have a max dispersion of 269 meters with a max firing range of 24.2 kilometers. Maine can fire both high explosive and armor piercing. The high explosive has a max damage of 5700, 5700 with a 36% fire chance. They can pen, these high explosive shells can pen 68 millimeters of armor and have a shell speed of 820 meters per second. These armor piercing shells on entering the enemy citadel can inflict a max damage of 13,500 and have a slower shell speed of 762 meters per second. Now these are American heavy armor piercing shells, so they have some very good penetration. So 16 of these guns in total, and I have found when presented with targets, if you're landing shells regularly on target, these guns will do the business. 16 of these 406mm guns, really quite impressive. In terms of secondary battery, the Maine gets 20 of these 127mm guns housed in 10 twin-mounted turrets, 5 on each side. These have a 3.8 second reload time, and with this build, a 9.2 kilometer firing range, firing high explosive shells that can inflict a max damage of 1800. They have a 9% fire chance. They can pen 21 millimeters of armor and have a shell speed of 808 meters per second. So when it comes to the depth charge airstrike, you get 2 attack flights, 1 aircraft per attacking flight dropping 2 bombs. These have an operational range of 11 kilometers, and these bombs have a max damage of 4,900 and a reload time of 30 seconds. So pretty standard for top tier battleships. 11 kilometers range, 30-second reload. In terms of AA defense, pretty decent. USS Maine gets an AA defense rating of 97. This consists of 16 single-mounted 20mm Oerlikons, 20 quad-mounted 20mm Oerlikons, 6 twin-mounted 76mm guns, and the secondary battery. These 20 127mm guns all are dual purpose. Now this all combined pumps out a continuous average damage of 581. This can be further augmented of course by your combat instructions. Maine can fire an impressive 13 shell explosions per flak salvo with a max damage of 1911. These have an action zone of between 3.5 and 6 kilometers, and the hit probability is 75%. The priority sector reinforcement gives a 35% boost and is active for 15 seconds, with a prep time also of 15 seconds. And the max firing range of these AA guns is 6 kilometers. So defense rating 97, pretty solid. You can see in this game we end up shooting down quite a few Nakhimov planes, which is in itself pretty difficult considering the attack patterns of the Russian aircraft carriers. So moving to the maneuverability, with this build and a speed flag, we can get the base speed up to 31.9 knots. Turning circle radius is 1,070 meters. And the rudder ship time with the steering gears mod is 16.1 seconds. So she is a very large ship with a very slow rudder shift and turning circle radius. So finally, stats wise, in terms of concealment, a concealment rating of 36. This is with the full stealth build. So not exactly what you would call stealthy, but still 14.3 kilometers. You will be detected by enemy surface ships. 12.6 kilometers by enemy aircraft and enemy submarines. You're going to be spotted a lot. You are going to be taking a lot of incoming fire. So this is the USS Maine. Now if you enjoy high tier American battleships, this one does perform overall quite well. I'm not really a battleship enthusiast, especially at top tiers. These guns do perform quite well in general. The slow shell speed of American heavy AP at top tiers is an acquired taste, but once you get your eye in and you land these regularly on target, the damage output is quite decent. So all in all, it's a pretty strong package, very well armoured, decent guns, quite effective AA, and you will need it when you're up against these top tier aircraft carriers and super carriers. You will need all the help you can get. The only drawback I find is its maneuverability. You're going to be very vulnerable, in this case as shown, to submarines that can get close to you. You're going to find it very difficult maneuvering to actually avoid torpedoes. So positioning is going to be very important in this ship. But that goes for all high tier battleships. Your positioning and your movement is going to be very important. So this is the brand new Tier 11 Super American Battleship USS Maine. It will be available from the 21st of March in the auction in the Armory, and the minimum bet or offer will be 100 million credits. So I hope you enjoyed this little review guide of the USS Maine. Pretty decent ship in general. If you liked the video, please feel free to leave a comment and a like in the comment section. It greatly helps the channel, so thank you in advance for all of your support. If you'd like to see some live gameplay, feel free to come over and visit me on Twitch. I look forward to seeing you all.
Awaiting instructions. Enemy cruiser detected. Enemy battleship sighted. Enemy cruiser detected. The enemy is about to win. Battle ends in 5 minutes. Torpedoes, dead ahead. about to win.
Hull breach. We're taking on water quickly. Ship is on fire! Critical engine damage! Problem solved, sir!
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
The ship is on fire!